Hello, Cincinnati, and welcome to a new episode of this podcast. This week we have special guest, country music artist Drake White. He has come on to talk about a tragedy that occurred in his life and how hunting in the outdoors taught him resilience and brought him back from that tragedy. So without further ado, we bring you special guest, Drake White. Well, I got one for y'all. You want to see what Jaybird did today?
Yeah.
I didn't write a song.
You could write a song about it, though.
Maybe he could. I can't.
Pretty sure we're fucking idiots, don't you think?
Nah, man, we're just duck hunters.
He had to get towed out.
That happens.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a good boat for sale. I'll sell it to you at a good price.
He said that last podcast. You're like, I got a boat for sale. And I was like, nah. And then I got out there today, barely got it started. And then I went to make it's 0 degrees.
Yeah.
And I went to turn the steering wheel, and I was like, she's awful tight. Crack. I was like, and it's gone.
I love all these posts online on Instagram about these Arkansas natives. It was some deer hunters that pulled up to a public boat ramp, and they were like, go home. The ducks aren't here. They were like, get out of our, go back deer hunting or do something else. But it was like all out of town people coming to Arkansas. And this was like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I guess.
I finally saw that video of them two kids fighting in the water.
Yeah.
That was. You would have to get me some type of pissed off to get into some type of altercation while I'm in the water duck hunting for me to have a chance to spill over without me tripping over a log or something.
Me too, man. I mean, what? I grew up in North Alabama. We'll just jump right into it. It's like Guntersville. I mean, people would spend the night at like 3 o'clock in the morning, get there at like 3 o'clock in the morning and start fighting to get to these places. And I'm like, dude, it's a wood duck. Like, what do you want to
You're going to shoot 4 ducks.
What? And you're going to get arrested, for fighting each other. And like, I grew up crawling through 10 acres of to get to a wood duck or a canvasback or something in Lake Guntersville or Ball Play Swamps is where I grew up in Hoax Bluff, Alabama. But for me now, it's really deer because I don't get a chance to spend a lot of time alone. And duck hunting is so communal and it's such camaraderie. And I love the camaraderie of a duck blind or hanging out with my buddies and giving them shit if they miss or something like that. But for me, it's sitting in a stand right now at 41 years old with a 2-year-old and a Boykin Spaniel and a Golden Retriever. It's never quiet. So a deer stand's quiet. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. A deer does it for me.
Yep.
Yeah. So being an Alabama boy, it's nice to having another one come on the podcast, Drake. We appreciate you coming on. And so being from Alabama, tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you grew up again.
So if you drive 50 miles north of Birmingham on Interstate 59, there's a town of about, 65,000 people called Gadsden, Alabama. And if you keep driving north up to 78, there's a town called Hoax Bluff, and that's about 3,500 people. And that's where I grew up, is Hoax Bluff, right kind of south of Weiss Lake, right in the bend of the Coosa River, which is where I learned, to chase ducks. Grew up very blue collar. My dad worked at Goodyear, which everybody in Gadsden, Alabama worked at Goodyear Tire and Rubber Plant. And my mom was a cosmetologist that had a garage salon. And, that's the way we grew up. Grew up going to a 3A Alabama State High School and just, it was Piggly Wiggly and Jesus, And my grandfather was a preacher. My grandfather was also an awesome outdoorsman, trapper, bass fisherman. And I knew at a very, very early age, I had it bad. My dad likes to hunt, but he hunted because of me. My grandfather loved to hunt, loved to trap, and that's who I kind of learned the ways of the land from. Is just watching him, and he was very methodical in his ways, and he was mad at him. He was always trying to trying to figure out how to get on the turkey or deer, and he was a deer hunter, and he didn't really hunt much waterfowl. I didn't really get into waterfowl until I was probably 15 or 16, and was able to hook a boat up to a four-wheeler on a 2-inch ball and drive it out into the Ball Place Swamp, which was about a 300,000 acre swamp. And like I said, if you killed 2 wood ducks and a black duck, a shoveler or something like that, you were lucky, and it was fun. But man, I loved it.
Oh yeah, I think we grew up hunting some of the same areas because growing up in Huntsville, I went down hunted Gunnersville. That's where my waterfowl hunting started. Right about the same age as you. I was about 15 when I went on my first waterfowl hunt, and it just kind of ate me up. And like you say, like you were saying, I mean, getting in the deer woods, there's just something about it. And after I've been hunting with Clayton here for the past 2 years, it's kind of pulled me more and more back into the deer woods and wanting to get back after the hoof instead of the feathers.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just periods in your life, You just, sometimes you want to go duck hunting, and duck hunting right now for me, if I can go half a dozen times in a year, I'm good, and that's a lot for me. And it's so funny, all my buddies, I'm just spoiled because we get to go to these great places like Prairie Wings or White Oaks or stuff like that. And that's just being a musician and being able to get out there. So really lucky to hunt with some of the best duck hunters in the world. But man, a white-tailed deer has my spirit, man. I'm obsessed with it.
There's a reason why it's the number one market segment as far as hunting is concerned. I mean, it's just, there's something about it. That's like one of the toughest feats on planet Earth is tricking a mature whitetail.
There's no reward like it, is there? I mean, I killed my biggest whitetail in Illinois this year and met through Craig Morgan, really good friend of mine and country singer, country legend. He introduced me to some guys up in Illinois, and I had an opportunity to shoot my first Boone and Crockett buck this year. And to be a kid growing up in North Alabama chasing, if it was brown, it was down, man. Like, if it was 110 inches, I was killing it. It didn't matter, with a bow, with a blowgun, whatever I could find, a rock, I was shooting it. And to get in the woods and see how those animals, I mean, they require respect, and they require, like, it's almost like the squirrels bow down in front of them, and that the crows sing a different song when those deer are in the woods. And, I literally almost hit a brick, when it came out, and just killed it in the morning. It was about -3 degrees. And for an Alabama guy, I couldn't feel nothing. And
wait a minute. Was it on December the 5th?
It was on, no, you know what? It was on December the 5th.
I was poking around on social media that same day in Illinois in Pike County. I filmed Jeff Lindsay kill that 204.
Well, man,
it was freaking cold, buddy.
It was like, I call it screw you cold. I usually say F
it
you
was
cold. Like, it, even for an Alabama guy, I mean, it's cold at anything below 30, but man, my hands, it was dangerous. It was dangerously cold. And, that kind of clicks into that primal instinct in me, gets me out of my head, and that's why I love hunting, because I just lost track of time completely. And you have to, because you have to be so focused on those deer. And, that's why I love that. I love that whole process, but I did not dress for that at all.
Were you in a box blind, or were you actually hanging off the side of a tree?
No, I was in a bottom in between 2 giant soybean fields, in a ladder stand with 18-mile-an-hour wind blowing, and hit me in the face, because we thought that he would be in that transition, which was a good thought. We look up at 6:30 behind me, and the deer standing 40 yards in front of a box blind that we could have had a heater in.
That's what we were doing. We were in the box blind with a heater, buddy. We literally said, Man, you a brave soul if you're hanging off the side of a tree today.
Yeah, you earned it.
We did, man. And my
Yeah,
gloves,
man.
you know, I wear wool gloves with the fingers cut out of them. I've had, you know, get them at the Army surplus store. I've always wore those gloves, and I had a pair of cotton gloves on top, like on the bottom, and then those gloves up, and that's usually all my hands need. And buddy, I thought my hands were going to fall off. And
Oh, yeah.
dude, we're trying to light a heater in a ladder stand while this deer is coming in, so I could feel my hands because I couldn't tell if my finger was in the trigger guard or not. I couldn't feel it. That's how cold it was, dude. It was a shit show. We're moving around squeaking, and he had a doe hemmed up, or we wouldn't have never killed him. And I had a muzzleloader, and dude, I had to look down at my finger and make sure it was going in the trigger guard because I couldn't feel.
Good Lord.
And it was so cold. And when I shot it, I was like, thank God, let's get down.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Did you get to the point where it was that cold? Was it so cold your body couldn't even shake, or was it one of those shakes you just couldn't stop?
The whole tree was shaking. I mean, it wasn't even nervous. I wasn't even nervous. I mean, with what we do, I will say this: there's nothing that gets me going like a good deer. And with what I do, though, we go play 100 shows a year, and we're out there in front of these big. So we have to learn to deal with our nerves, you know. And so I don't really get excited for much. Nothing can really, you know. The national anthem can get you nervous. That, like singing that at a football game, at an NFL game or something, can get you really nervous. And but that kind of cold, the whole thing was just like me. I was so cold that the nerves were kind of out the window. I was just trying to get the job done because this is a world-class buck in front of me, and I'm just trying to breathe, get my hands. Literally, we're trying to light a heater. Click, 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 click. Trying to get this heater lit while he's coming into this fold. And the doe was within, you know, 75, 100 yards of us. And so it was that kind of cold. It was like, hey, if I don't get my hands warmed up, I'm not going to be able to pull this off. So we had to figure it out.
Good Lord.
Dude, I'll tell you, even sitting in a box blind that morning, if you open the window up, forget about it, buddy. It would drop 20 degrees instantly.
Clayton's soft though, man. He's from Florida, dude.
Hey,
It was 0 on the Ohio River today. I was out there.
Yeah. I love when these northern guys, when these guys from Wisconsin or Indiana, you'll be like, man, I'm cold. And it's like 5 degrees. And they're like, oh, it's not cold. I'm like, no, to 99.9% of the world, it's cold. 5 degrees is cold. Oh, you're cold? Yeah, I'm cold. Most people are cold. I love how they try to tough it out, like who can out cold each other. No, I'm good.
I mean, they do ice fish. I mean, literally sit there and fish sitting on a giant block of ice.
They got a little heater in there. Some of them shacks they got are legit, man. Have you seen them?
That's an excuse to drink.
Yeah, that's a drinking sport. That's like crappie fishing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like if I go crappie fishing, like I got a live well full of beer, like for sure.
Oh yeah. Shoot.
About 3 crappie.
Me and Graham love crappie fishing. Alabama people love crappie fishing.
Oh, yeah. Gunnersville's known for it, man. I got buddies that go out there and they'll fill a cooler up in 2 hours under a bridge.
And as far as a fish fry, that's what I'm eating. Hush puppies, coleslaw, and oh man, there's nothing like a crappie, dude.
I don't know. Yeah. Walleye. I like walleye pretty good.
Walleye, man.
I've only had walleye once, so I can't really speak on it too much other than I can say that it was really good. But man, crappie holds a special place when it comes to fish fry.
Well, crappie is the fish of the South, like the eating fish. Them big bluegills are good though.
Yeah.
If you can get some big shell crackers, if you know a place to go get them, we had one pond. I mean, you could go out there and just get. I mean, all of them were bigger than my hand. I mean, they were just massive. And we'd go out there, you'd catch 20 of them, and we'd grill them up later that night. And that was probably my second choice compared to those.
Yeah,
crappie.
Man, I tell you, those that I call them shell crackers or bluegills or yellow bellies, all those different kind. everybody calls them different things, but on the Coosa River that winds through Gadsden, there's a creek called Cove Creek that empties out into the river, and that's where I grew up. It was right behind my house till I was 12. And I would get a bucket and some fishing line because you couldn't have really a rod that was too grown up around the creek. And I would get down there as a kid, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, and I would get those, just a little jig or a rooster tail. A rooster tail was hard because the treble hook, like I'd get it hung a lot. But that type of bait, that smaller bait, and I would catch those yellow bellies. And I'd fill a bucket up. And my dad, the first, like, oh, I'm a man. This, I could survive in the wild. We used to put, we'd gut them. He'd be like, just cut them. And he let me do all this. My dad was just like, cut them down the middle, pull the guts out. And I would get a stick and spread it out and put that, and build a fire and put that stick over the fire, salt and pepper. And I'd eat those little shell cracker and bluegill. And that was how I grew up, and it was squirrels. Anything we killed, we ate. I mean, I've ate a blackbird before, and it's just what we did. And I'm so blessed to have had a dad like that had uncles like that would like, yeah, you want to go kill it. I think the squirrel population is still in detriment because of my doings with Derek Barnes and Taylor Morgan, in that area. I don't think there's any squirrels out there. We killed everything that moved.
Speaking of, I got a question for you. Circle back to Craig Morgan. You know Zach Phillips?
Yeah. Zach's a buddy of mine, turkey hunter. I got a beef to pick with Zach, but we'll talk about that on another day. It's like, you got to call the dude back that's going hunting at the same place you just killed two, and say, hey man, they're roosting right here in this tree. I think if you go right here, nothing. So, all right, Zach, you owe me a turkey, 2 turkeys.
Oh, he's gonna love this.
He knows.
We've actually had quite a few discussions at this point on this podcast about hunting etiquette.
Yeah.
Oh, it's I'm sure you can tell from some of the ones we've talked about with duck hunting stuff and all that. I mean,
Duck hunters are the worst.
The worst.
Yeah, they're the worst.
It makes you not want to hunt public land no more. I mean,
they're the worst.
Yeah, we are the biggest man. That's all there is to it. Like, where'd you kill the ducks? Like on the river,
Yeah.
How many did you see it?
I get that. No, we're talking about, like, let me scratch. Y'all did hear that whole story. This is property that I had been working on. It wasn't my property, but it was my permission.
Yeah.
That'd have been different if it's public. Like, I'm not telling anybody where I'm killing ducks public. I'm not telling anybody where I've got a deer public. There's no way. Or fishing. No. Like, I caught them in the river. I killed them in the woods.
Yeah. Fishermen are pretty rowdy too.
I mean, that goes all the way back to biblical times, man. I mean,
yeah, I got a buddy that's a tarpon captain. He's like the premier tarpon captain down in Stewart, Florida. He runs a bigger boat too, offshore trips. We were down there. He's like, hey, I got to take some clients in a couple of days. You want to go with me to scout? And I was like, sure, yeah, let's go catch some fish. We were catching fish under the causeway, floating bait. And I'm not going to say what bait because that's part of the story. And we caught a couple of 60-pound tarpon, and the guys are fishing on the catwalk under the bridge. They're like, what are you using for bait? What are you using for bait? He just said, oh, whatever floats by.
Yeah.
I mean, we were specifically, it was floating by, and we were scooping it up with a net. It's like, I ain't telling you what we're using for bait. Yeah. You lost your mind?
Yeah, crab. I get it. No, I love Zach. I'm kind of kidding, but kind of not. But it's it's all good. But this whole thing, of hunting, and I'll just kind of shove this the way. I had a stroke. For everybody out there listening, I had a stroke in 2019 that debilitated my left side and left me paralyzed for about 3 months, and wasn't sure if I was going to be able to walk. The doctors didn't know if that was going to be possible. and it was caused by what's called an AVM, an arterial venous malformation. And I was in the process of getting that embolized, which is a fancy word for gluing it shut. And it was going to take about 8 brain surgeries to glue it shut through my femoral artery. And I would go rest. I would go do those on Monday, rest Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I'd be back on the road Thursday per the neurologist. He said that was cool. And I would do about one every 2 months. I would do an embolization, and I needed 8. And I was 4 deep into it, and about halfway through the touring season in 2019, and took the stage in Roanoke, Virginia. And about 3 songs in, the 1% chance of it rupturing happened, and it sounded like a 12 gauge shotgun going off in my right ear, and it popped and it ruptured and causing a hemorrhagic stroke on stage. Luckily, there was a miracle from God happened with there being a trauma 1 level hospital about 3 miles away. They stopped it bleeding within 20 minutes of it starting, which saved my life. And, the rest of the reason I'm sitting here talking and met Graham and all these people is because I've been rehabbing for 5 years, because that stole my ability to walk and my ability really to communicate for a minute. And I didn't know if that was going to get, I was a hunter. I was a fisherman. I was opening up for Zach Brown and Eric Church and Willie Nelson and going and doing and playing at Fenway Park and living my dream, and all of that got pulled out from under me. And it's taken me this long, and I did learn how to walk again, obviously. I am playing music again. I am making music again. We are doing the thing again, but the hunting aspect of it, and all that was a miracle, right? So cheer, that's great. And a lot of prayer, a lot of personal spiritual gains and things like that. But the hunting thing, I'd always been connected to that 7-year-old catching bluegills on Cove Creek. That had always made me feel alive, you know what I mean? Being able to cook and do my own thing and just be independent. And so now my wife's having to help wipe my ass, and it's a really, I don't care who you are, that is as humble as it gets. And you realize really quick that rock bottom has a basement. And my brother-in-law, her brother's, he's 43, I'm 41. And he comes and he says, let's put a game camera up behind the house. And this was like in, so that happened in August, September 2020. 19. September, October. And I said, man, I don't see the point. I can't climb a tree. I can't get in a blind. I can't even walk down there. I'm in a wheelchair. I've got tennis balls on the back of a, walker type thing in a wheelchair. And he said, well, let's just put it down there, Drake, and see what happens. And a week later, 175-inch deer, not exaggerating, walks in front of that camera and right here, 50 yards behind my house, 100 yards behind my house. And it lit a fire in me. You're talking about somebody that was having to get his ass wiped and paralyzed. It just got on his feet. This primal instinct went off in me, and I swear I could have got up and danced a river dance around my bed. I was like, I couldn't believe my eyes. And so I go to Graham, and I said, hey, man, we got to learn how to climb a ladder. And he looked at me like I had 3 heads. He was like, dude, we got to learn how to walk. And, Griff's a hunter. He's from Mississippi, and I held the phone up to him, and he saw that deer. He goes, get on that Versa climber. Let's go. And so we start embarking on the challenge of learning how to climb a ladder. And so I never killed that deer, but my wife helped me get up that ladder opening day and helped me get up there and hunt. with a crossbow and made me feel like I was a provider again. And hunting did that. That deer made this primal instinct in my brain and in my heart kick into high gear. It started this neuroplasticity thing. And I mean, I would not be where I am today, if it was not for deer and ducks and turkey and just wanting to go and wanting to train. And dude, what a blessing. What a blessing that is for me to be able to even go still. And I think about it every time I see a sunrise in the stand or in the blind. And so I thought, man, what a great way to tell this story of resilience and perseverance. And so I partnered with my buddies at Realtree and some of my buddies at around the wildlife, the outdoor community, and we're documenting that whole process. We're doing all of it, showing the stroke and telling people the good news of what hunting did for me and how it actually healed, because hunting is our primal right and is our primal instinct as men and women and hunters and gatherers and providers. And man, people are excited. They're kind of losing it because I'm telling that story and they're going, dude, because no matter where you're at, did y'all see the fox and the Colonel and the Fox? The Mossy Oak film, The Colonel and the Fox?
No, I didn't see it.
Well, it's a human story about basically the resurrection of the American wild turkey, and it being like 2 or 3 guys in Alabama down on the Mississippi line, their idea to start resurrecting the wild turkey because it had been hunted out. And it's such a great documentary and film that it doesn't matter how competitive you are. And I love Cam Haines. He's one of my favorites. Doesn't matter if you can carry a rock up Mount Pisgah. It doesn't matter if you wear Mossy Oak or Shin or Bandit or Realtree. You have to be a fan of that Colonel and the Fox documentary if you hunt an American wild turkey, because they would be extinct if it wasn't for them. So it's a human story, right? Well, the story I just told you, that's what hunting needs, is the human stories, to where the people in California, New York, wherever, the left, the right, the up, the down, it doesn't matter, where they understand how important our heritage of hunting is and how important it is that my son, Hawk, knows how to build a fire and change a tire and cook a bluegill over a fire. That's what we're doing with this documentary, and that's why I wanted to come on here and tell y'all my outdoor story and talk to you guys as well. But like that feels like a pretty important message, and God put that in my heart, to get out there. And I don't know why I went through this, but I'm starting to now. I'm starting to figure it out. Oh, I saw what the big man's got up his sleeve, because it's opening up these windows that I never would have had if I wouldn't have been paralyzed and didn't have that authority to speak for mental illness, to speak for people that are unable and disabled, for the guy on the corner, for anybody. And so The Hunt's the Healing is going to be the name of that documentary. And we're looking at releasing it probably September, October of 2025. So I'm really proud of that. Really proud to be in the music that came from it was insane. Has been great. But man, that hunting aspect, that's a powerful story in my life and something that I'll carry with me for forever.
Absolutely.
Well, people that don't like, there are casual hunters like, oh, hey, it's opening weekend of Modern Gun, I'm gonna go hunt with my buddies. I get that, but maybe some people from that group, people that don't hunt, I don't think they understand the deep connection we all have with it. You know what I mean? And like,
well, I mean, it's like one thing me and you have talked about before, Clayton. Like, how many guys have you met that are hunters that you haven't been able to have a conversation with and get along with? Like, about anybody that you run into that's a hunter, you have some type of connection to where you can at least hold a conversation and be civil human beings, no matter if you're left, right, center, whatever. Like, everybody who is part of that world has that type of connection. And I really look forward to your documentary, Drake, because I feel like that's going to send a great message to people, that a lot of people that either aren't after them, like some of us are going to be able to, it's going to either open their eyes, and people that aren't hunters at all, it's just going to kind of show them what it brings out of us and why we have such a deep connection to being able to go out in the woods and hunt after these animals.
It's really bigger. It's bigger than, I know it's a cliche, but it's bigger than hunting, the industry. It's bigger than music. It's bigger than the four of us standing here talking about, Zach not calling me back, or, whatever.
Does that bother you?
It's this thing. I'm not bothered by that. Don't think I'm bothered by that. I will not mention it again. But
it's starting to make me mad now.
Man, that whole story was so that I could get y'all attached to me so we could form an alliance against Zach.
It worked.
Yeah.
No, man. I mean, it's just like we're just inundated with all this information and this stuff. And what's really important, man? What's really going on, and what's really it's our pursuit of happiness, or pursuit of family. People ask me if I'm religious. I say, yeah, I'm religious. Because I've seen him. I've had the near death experience, and prayer works. And that's how I talk to God, is in the outdoors, and I talk to him, and that's how I'm a successful hunter, because I ask him for signs, and I ask him to help me with the discernment of reading the signs of where the deer and the turkeys, or the tarpon, or the, this last week, the marlin, or whatever, where's it at? Help me. And when I'm thinking like a whitetail and I'm sitting in the woods, I'm not worried about my cell phone. I'm not worried about my single on the radio. I'm not worried about anything. I'm trying to outsmart one of the Creator's creatures that deserves my attention. And I think that is the secret. The fact that people think hunting is weird, or hunting is, oh, he's a hunter? What do you mean you hunt? Like, the concept of us not hunting is newer than the concept of us hunting. We had to hunt. And no, we don't have to hunt for our families for survival anymore. We don't have to do that. But man, it helps. It helps. I'm eating this right here that you see me eating is deer. And I eat it as much as I can because it makes me feel good. No, it's not necessary for survival, but man, it has connected me back to my food. It's connected me back to my spirit. It's connected me back to, and that's what neuroplasticity is, and forming that around this lesion that was that brain bleed is what's healing me. And to me, that is God. That is the prayer. That is the thing. It's just life. It's just, hunting is part of that connection for me. And I'm so blessed and honored to have it. And I think anybody could have it if you just tap into it. But you have to be interested,
Oh, yeah.
Not even that. I mean, I think it was like 7 or 8 years ago, I was reading an article, and they've done studies, like people that work in these offices in big towers in New York or big cities or whatever, even just having a picture in nature in their office, mentally, those people, they've done studies, mentally, those people are a lot more at peace than people that aren't connected with nature, like even just having a picture of the woods in your office. Like if you don't like hunting, go out on a hike. Like, we weren't meant to be locked up in these buildings like cages.
Yeah. And luckily through these podcasts, like I think Michael Waddell does a good job. Cameron Haynes does a good job. Of course, everybody knows Rogan, and Rogan's killing it. But them talking about these experiences, it's opening people up. And, I think there's good and bad that it's doing. I think there's good and bad that social media is doing to the hunting industry. But I think, man, if you're out there, it doesn't matter if you're passionate about an upright bow or a recurve or a long bow, or if you can blast them with a 30-06. If you're getting out there and you're talking to the Creator and you're getting closer to this fulfillment, then go. As long as you're going, it doesn't matter to me. It's not a competition. I like to hunt big deer. I like to kill a limit of ducks, greenheads before 9. I mean, it's great. And it's something that us as masculine men and as competitive people that we're going to do in Joshua Roundabout. But as long as I'm out there, I'm not going to down anybody for how they choose to go out there and do it, whether they're in a saddle or they're in a $8,000, muddy blind. It doesn't matter. As long as you're getting out there and doing it.
Yeah. Again, like I said, that's kind of one of the messages we've been trying to deliver. Like, man, like you said, social media is bad because, the deer's not mature. You shot a little fork. Like, who cares, man?
Everybody's an expert now, but it doesn't matter. It's all about like, it's what makes you happy, man. I mean, did it fire you up? I mean, that's all that matters, dude.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, like you said, the good, like it's spreading awareness.
My goal with this, and I think Steve Brunella has done a great job at just the craftsmanship of words around hunting.
Oh, he's got a way with words.
Yeah. I think me as a writer and me as a songwriter, that's what I do every day. That's what I did today. Like, I think this documentary is going to, my creative director's never hunted, and so he's got a different view of it, of what, than somebody that grew up hunting in Alabama or Georgia or Florida or Mississippi or Montana, whatever. So it's just it's a healing story. It's a story that when you tap into that primal instinct, I didn't think I would ever hunt again, guys. I thought I was done because I couldn't climb a tree. I can't even walk. And I'm not sure I would have been able to climb a tree now. I would have never thought about climbing a tree if it wasn't for hunting because I wouldn't have had to. But how do I get up a tree? And it's one rung at a time. There's so many analogies that we're connecting with that in a Steve Brunella Hemingway type way of like, it's one rung at a time. The frost crunches under your boot. You got to figure out that might be slick. You got to make sure your foot's down there. My heart starts beating fast because I'm getting to the top and I'm 12 feet above the ground. And if I fall, I'm going to be paralyzed again, or I could break my neck or whatever. And so that I had to deal with all of that anxiety and kind of the devil talking on my ear of, man, you don't need to do this. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. And the hell I didn't. I didn't need to prove anybody. I needed to prove it to myself, that I could get out there and I could still rip a tiller crank Chrysler 25 piece of crap motor on the back of a boat, and I can rip it and still crank it the way I always have, that I can run a trot line and that I can skin a deer and all the stuff that Hank Jr. talks about. And, I'm still worthy of the outdoors because it never left. It's never going to leave. It's there because we take care of it as hunters. We take care of it as preservers and providers. And I'm very humbled by the outdoors and the mountains and the creeks and the animals in it.
Well, it also teaches you how to face adversity because just as soon as you think you got to figure it out, it's changing again, buddy. And I think that's a big part of what I'm hearing in your story. Like, you probably thought you had it all figured out, and then bam, God slapped you in the face. As Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
It's so true, man. It's so true. It's so humbling. And October the 19th, so before I killed the big deer in Illinois, I'm about 3 miles from here on a friend's. He's worked his butt off to cultivate this 4-acre clover plot, and it's beautiful. There's a nice blind on it. And I'm hunting there October the 19th, and there's a little cold pitch there that had the deer up on their feet, and I saw a bunch of bucks and got a shot about 445 on a good, like 140-inch 11-pointer. All right. Long story short, I shot the deer, in the old familiar, like, thwack of a shoulder shot. It just sounded like a gun going off. When it hit his shoulder, runs off into the woods, and man, I'm like, I killed that deer. It's amazing. I felt good about it. Got down, found the arrow, drenched in blood, bright red blood, was like, yes, got it. Got enough penetration, and backed out. Next day, got a bloodhound, trailed it for like nearly half a mile, lost it. Lost blood, never saw it. Came back a day and a half later into the food plot. Couldn't tell if it was limping or not, but it was alive. So cool, I'm going to be able to hunt it again. Well, then the landowner sees the deer and said, "Man, I don't know if that deer's limping. He seems like he's hurt, but he's just moving slow. But it didn't seem like he was limping. But I didn't get a good view. So that was like October 31st, November 1st area. Well, I'll drop all the suspense and all the stuff. I completely gave up on that deer. I'm just hunting it. Maybe I kill it. Maybe I see it again and I'll have another shot." Well, we're hunting together January the 3rd, and one of his workers were bush hogging this area, some lanes in it to run some beagles so his beagles can run the rabbits, run rabbits so we can go rabbit hunting. And we get out there and I'm in the stand and I get a picture of this skull. And it's got just corroded, his skin's still on his skull and his eyes are hollowed out, look bad. And I was like, he's like, "Look what my worker found." Dude, his worker was like, "I picked up a bunch of trash, bush hog what you told me to, got 7 hours here, whatever, got all this. Oh yeah, I found this 11-point buck. That deer had came all the way back around and I found it and I'm getting it mounted now." He goes, "I recovered it January the 3rd. So we're talking October 19th to January the 3rd. And now I've got my biggest Tennessee buck and then my biggest buck ever in Illinois this year. So that shows you it's kind of full circle for me. I never saw a buck like any of those, when I was hunting in Alabama and thought that I was He-Man and king of the world, climbing 90 foot in a pine tree in an old man stand with one screw and
Brisky.
Right. I just did that all the time but this season's been extremely rewarding, and I think nothing comes easy, nothing's supposed to, and that's okay. Like, just go out there and keep hammering and keep rocking, and that's what I've learned from all this. Like, you may not kill that deer, but you keep hunting, you keep writing songs, you'll get the hit, you'll kill the deer, you keep going, keep doing it.
It's more about the process. The process is what I enjoy, the process more than the end game, right? Like getting out there and just trying to figure them out and working hard. Like you spend a lot of time doing it, man. Like, and it's rewarding. That's more rewarding than anything to me. Like you say, just being out there and just doing the hanging tree stands, finding them is the hard part, and shooting them's the pretty easy part. Like shooting one's not getting close enough to shoot one. That's the hard part's getting close enough. Then once you're in there, like the shooting part's not that hard.
I don't know. Speak for yourself.
Well, you know what I'm saying though. Like that, getting close enough's an accomplishment in itself, man. To even get that close to a deer like that is tough to do, and you got to look at it like little success like that. That's the way I look at it. Just having the opportunity.
It's like the story of the buck that I had that run in with this year. Like, yeah, I didn't get him on the ground. I didn't even get to pull the trigger on him. But I mean, it's the biggest buck I've ever seen in the hoof within 30 yards that I've had. And I mean, just for that happening the way that hunt did, I mean, I called that a successful hunt.
Yeah, could you imagine this dude up here in a saddle, shaking?
Yeah.
I mean, that tree's coming down, dude.
Yeah.
You would have thought that thing was about to come down. I'm surprised no limbs didn't fall out of the tree.
Like a big old squirrel up there.
And dude, I'm totally with you with that comment, Graham. Like, yes, you got to call it a win, but you also play for the Cincinnati Reds. Like, you're a competitive dude. And like, you'll beat yourself up if you're like me, which I know you are. I was beating myself to death with that deer because it was a buddy's that he had put sweat and equity into this clover plot, and then lets me hunt it. And we had worked hard together, and here's this deer walks in front of me, and I wound it. And I love it. and music is my passion, and I love writing songs and crafting songs. But man, the hunting world and being in it and being able to be out there in it is a close second, if not right there with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think a lot of, like, to your story, like, to be successful in the whitetail woods is just like trying to be successful in your career, Graham's. Like, it's conviction. You got to believe you can do it. And from what I'm hearing from you, that 175-inch deer that walked in front of that camera, he gave you the conviction and the belief, like, hey, this ain't gonna keep me down.
Yeah, it was a sum of multiple things, but that deer was a giant jolt. I had an Arlo camera back there. I don't even know. People are going to be like, oh, I don't even care what they say. But, dude, it's not but 100 yards behind my house, so I've got internet. I'm like, I'm putting a security camera back there. And, dude, my wife was so tired of my phone going off. She was like, I'd look at her and be like, they're out there. And she's like, okay. So, and, dude, it wasn't even deer season. I'd just go out there and look at them and watch them. You know, watch that deer, watched him and watched him and watched him. And, you know, it's just, it's a spiritual thing for me.
It's a cat and mouse.
And speaking about the music side of things, Drake, where did your kind of passion and love for music kind of start up for you growing up?
I didn't really start music until I went to school at Auburn and graduated in 07, 08. And just started playing music at bars for fun because it was easy. But I played baseball. I was a hind catcher, and that's what I thought I was going to do, you know. And I went to building science, got a building science degree at Auburn, and I moved to Nashville with that purpose of starting my own construction company and going out and making real money and just going and paving my way that way. And I just thought I could write songs and kind of get the girl and have the fun time at the parties and this and that. And then it's funny how God works with that. Like when he shows you your purpose, it's like, it's the thing that comes natural, you know. Singing, I don't have to work at singing. I don't have to work at writing. I have to work at writing. And I have to work at actually, you know, being I call it the prom king of Nashville. You have to go out there. I have to work at the politics because I'm not very good at that. But I can sing, and I was given that ability just by birth. And so music really didn't happen till college.
I believe it or not, with a lot of people successful in business or life in general, it happens quite a bit. It happens later in life. There's some guys that broke as a joke till they're 40 and then they hit pay dirt on whatever idea or whatever it is they're passionate about. So let me ask you this. That recording you sent on the notes to Graham yesterday, you mentioned the Grateful Dead. Are you a Grateful Dead fan?
Yeah, I am, because of their, not necessarily all of the music and because of their musicality. I do like some of the songs, but more so because of the culture they built. It's like the Jimmy Buffett thing, you know.
He's got a lot of fans. Like they get created such a following. Like Grateful Dead people they're deadheads, right?
Yeah. So with the Big Fire, that's kind of what we're doing, the Buffett thing. If Buffett was wearing flannel and had an axe and was in the Appalachian hardwoods, you know, and was a hunter and a fisher. What if there was a Appalachian soul funky monkey Buffett? You know, there is. It's me. You just take something that somebody else has already done and you ask them how they did it. I've got the opportunity to do that with Eric Church and Zach Brown and even Willie Nelson. Hey man, how'd you do this? I like projects. I don't want to sound cheesy and say I like brands, but I like brands. I like the stories of brands and building brands and understanding it. And I'm the guy of 10,000 ideas. So I really like the Grateful Dead and Jimmy Buffett, their style of organic grassroots marketing.
Yeah, you and I get along well if you're the man with 10,000 ideas. You just ask Graham. I'm texting him about every 5 minutes with another idea. Jay, too, he just shook his head. I'm like, hey, what about this?
I'm just trying to get back to the boat ramp.
I know. I know, man. I'm just trying to get to Buc-ee's, dude.
Yeah, that place is awesome though.
Yeah, it is.
That's
That jerky's
that's
dope.
$100, man. You get the two little boys in there, man. It's $100.
Dude, everything's
Hey,
$100.
Yeah.
They sell deer corn at Buc-ee's though. It's a pretty decent price.
Alabama's legal to feed now.
Yeah, Alabama's legal.
You can pay. It's like $15 for like a feed license for private property.
You got to buy a feed license.
Yeah. You got to buy a feed license. They're going to figure out a way to get it. They
That's
know.
about as good an idea as the U2 on your iPhone.
I know. They know we'll pay it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna definitely pay $15. If it was $100, I'd be like, dang it, all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Have y'all seen those people? Somebody came. They didn't come up with it, but they made a corn pile looking like tarp, and they're selling it as like a feed thing for in season that you can go put out for deer to see to get them to come check it out to think it's corn, but it's actually not.
Oh man.
They used to sell in the Avery when you bought Avery goose decoys. It'd come with fake corn, like a corn cob.
Yeah.
And you could you throw them around your decoys like there's just fake yellow corn out here. I don't know, man. Duck hunters will do anything. Any bird hunter, they'll do anything to get an advantage.
Well, dude, the crazy one I saw this year, someone was selling fake rubs for deer to put on a tree to like make a fake rub line. I'm like, what good's that gonna do you?
It's called a turbo saw in your pocket. Make all the rubs you want to.
We make mock scrapes all the time.
Yeah. I go down there. I go help Clayton out a lot, and he thinks all them rubs up there is from a big buck. But I've been up there all winter.
Yeah, except for the one that went viral. That one's legit.
Yeah. Then he started using trail cameras. What an idiot! Now I couldn't do him anymore. I'll hook you up, Graham. Clayton will be on the wrong side of the farm next year, dude. My buddy had a trail camera on the interstate, and he had permission to hunt this field on the interstate. And I didn't get to do it, but me and my wife she was in. She's like, I could see it from the interstate driving by. I knew what tree it was on. She's like, get one of your deer heads, and I'll drive you up there. And you just start like putting it around there and changing the angles on it, because it was a cell camera, and I just see how quick he'd text me. I was like, he'd be on it in a second, dude.
Man,
Put two in there fighting.
Yeah. We could go down this rabbit hole as long as y'all want to of practical jokes. I think that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah,
I totally legitimize myself at the first of this podcast, and I can delegitimize myself just as quick.
Yeah, I believe that's where the little redneck comes out in all of us.
Yeah. I mean, you just got to work hard, you know?
You got any questions for us, man? You got any? Here you go. You got any baseball questions for Graham?
What's your favorite pitch?
My favorite pitch, my fastball.
Have you ever heard that Greg Maddox story of where, I'm going to botch it a little bit, but it's early in the season and they're up by like 4 runs, and he lays up to like Francisco, like to like this obvious hitting champion. He lays this ball up and crushes it over for the Phillies, and they score like 3 runs, and Javier Lopez is like, dude, why did you do that? Like, he shook Holly off like 10 times. He's like, because we're going to face that guy in the pennant.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to face him, and he's going to think that I'm going to throw that pitch, or he's not going to think I'm going to throw that pitch, and I'm going to throw that pitch again. And they faced the guy in the pennant. It was for the Phillies. Somebody
3 times. He threw it back to back to back 3 times because he didn't think he was going to throw it again, and he struck him out on that same pitch he hit out during the regular season.
I love that story.
Yeah, because Greg Maddox, he's playing chess, man.
Yeah, he's playing chess. Everyone else playing checkers.
Oh, yeah.
My pitching coach in high school is named Steve Shields, and he played with the Braves and played with a bunch of Yankees and all kind. And we were talking about, man, that'd be nice if somebody says, "Oh, Drake, that old Drake, man, he's playing chess instead of checkers." That's a pretty good compliment at it. And one of my coaches goes, "Nah, I think they'd probably say Drake's playing tic-tac-toe and everybody else is playing checkers." I was like, damn. Okay.
At least you're playing, though.
At least I'm playing a game.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm smarter than I look. I'll say that.
I try not to let people know my intelligence level, whether it's actually there or not on a given day.
Yeah.
This is a guy talking. What degree did you get from school?
My background's pretty interesting. I have an ocean engineering degree, so designing ships, ports and harbors, beach renourishment projects. I got an MBA, and I decided to go into the creative world and do video production. So,
should I ask you what my parents asked me? When you're going to use your degree? I'm like, I use it every day. Every day.
Yep.
Jay, you're not far off there, bub.
Hmm?
I said you're not far off. What was your degree in?
Fire and safety engineering. I'm a firefighter.
Yeah, but that was engineering, but you're a firefighter.
Yeah, I just like that better. I don't want to do that.
Dude, I'll never forget. I was thinking about it the other day. The first time I met you, because someone asked us that on a recent podcast. It was with Badar. We went to scout that field. Dude, we're like 23. And Jay comes, and we're going to watch this deer in a bean field. And he pulls out his can of Grizzly. He goes, y'all want some? Probably tastes like Tide, though. I left it in my pants. My mom washed my pants.
Hey, whoa. You don't have to tell my mom washed my pants, man.
At 23.
Yeah, I know, man. Come on. I was like 16 or something, dude. Come on. It was real juicy, though. It wasn't dried out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Oh. You like that, Clayton? Come on.
How often do you get to hunt and fish with your schedule? I mean, do you like, when you go on tour and stuff, do you ever specifically plan to play at certain venues because you got a hunting or fishing trip you want to do while you're there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's how I am. I always get in trouble. My wife's like, are you actually working? I'm like, yeah, of course.
It's all
What you talking about?
It's very strategic, man. And it's a deer, it's a duck. Like, the weather can change, and you got to be there. And, it can be all consuming. So you do have to, because my thing is, well, honey, it's an opportunity. There's a big opportunity here. And that opportunity could be a big buck, or it could be hunting with somebody that I could get a song with or a collaboration with, or just making the relationship that creates the tour, that creates the thing, that creates this. And, it all is legit. I know the joke of like, are you really working? Are you really hunting? Yeah. I mean, she gets it now because she's seen some of the things that's landed because of it. You get close, you get close with people when you hunt with them. Living life with people like that, that creates relationships, and that's what our business is about. I'll probably kill one of y'all's deer that you got on camera because you like me so much,
Nah, we're going to send you down with red corn. It's a target-rich environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like the turkey hunt. It'll take about 15 minutes.
Oh, I like that, Jay. I'll go with you. I'll go with you.
I can't believe you had that one this past year you told me about, Jay, where you starter crawled him, missed him, only had one shell, had to go back, get more shells out of your truck, and he was dumb enough to commit to the strutter decoy again.
Yeah, I left my strutter in the field and belly crawled back to my truck and got 2 more shells because I'm an idiot. And then I crawled right back out to that strutter and started crawling back in on him and killed him again. This is my birthday. I always try to kill one on my birthday.
Oh, dude. You got to.
Yeah, it's April 22nd. I always try to kill a turkey.
I always try to kill a turkey and then do a couple of things I can't talk about.
Whatever it is, I'm down.
Okay.
Never mind.
Oh. All right, well, should we do some rapid fire questions? Quick one-word answers. You up for it?
Oh, yeah.
Number one, what's your favorite venue to play in, or what location brings the best energy?
Red Rocks.
Favorite artist to tour with?
Willie Nelson.
How could you not say that, I guess? I mean, It's Willie Nelson.
It's awesome.
What's your favorite thing to hunt? And we know it's whitetail right now, but if you had to pick one in general, what would it be?
Whitetail all the way.
All right. Favorite Pop-Tart flavor?
Blueberry.
Ooh. It's usually strawberry or the brown sugar cinnamon.
Oh, brown sugar cinnamon. Never mind. I changed. So I forgot about that because I try not to eat Pop-Tarts because I don't want to. I'm 41 and don't want to be a fat.
Dude, I went to a racetrack this morning with my daughters to get a couple of donuts. They had a special donut they made that's like brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tart flavored, and they had like a swirl of icing on top and a little mini brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tart sitting on top of that donut. I was like, my goodness, they're going all out with this thing.
Clayton, you got diabetes. You can't be doing that no more.
I know. I didn't get it. My daughter did.
You got a bite though, didn't you?
Nope, I didn't even take a bite.
Dude, I seen a guy at work. He didn't want to eat a donut, so he bit it and he chewed on it and then spit it out. I was like, you got problems.
Steven Tyler used to do that.
That's what he used to do? He could eat a donut.
Probably needs a donut.
Yeah, I throw it. It ain't going to hurt him.
What's your favorite cut of steak? How do you season it?
Ribeye. I'm pretty easy, man. I'm a big like salt and pepper guy. Just like if it's a good steak, bone-in ribeye. I'll go with some Tawny Satries or something like that. Maybe some olive oil. But I love getting it to tip. You know, good medium rare kind of inside, and then putting it and finishing it on an iron skillet with some olive oil, stuff like that. Like that's the best.
All right, lock on or saddle hunting, or I guess I should just say, what's your preferred
Stand.
Well,
Yeah,
whatever's closest to the deer, whatever's closest, whatever's available. But I was hunting with an Asplin, doing tree work before way back when, and I had my form of a saddle before saddles were saddles. I had the injury 5 years ago, and the saddle craze has happened in the last 5 years, really. So I haven't had an opportunity to really enjoy the fruits of that. Man, for me to be in a cedar tree with a well-placed ladder stand cut up and nestled up into that tree, I've made some pretty cool, being in building science, I enjoy making my stands very safe and very easy to get into and out to with the deer. And I love cedar trees. I've always loved them growing up in the South. So my favorite stand is some form of a cedar tree with either a ladder stand or a lock on, and a very easy way to get in and out, entry and exit.
I like my lock-ons. Graham likes his saddles.
I used to not like blinds because you didn't feel like you were in the woods, but man, you get the place right, and you get the windows and can control, scent, stuff like that. That's pretty special.
I just don't like how it like cuts out your senses.
Yeah, that's
Like I can't hear them coming in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing that gets me about them.
Yeah.
All right, can you turkey and duck call as well as you sing?
No, I can call a turkey. I would say my duck calling, honestly, I can mimic a duck and I can kill ducks and call ducks. My feed and chuckle call are maybe a 5, maybe. It's just something that my tongue and the real quick, that thing is not something that I do well. But I do kill ducks, with the way I call. And it's, quacks and knowing when to call and when to hold off is something that I've done for a long time. So I can kill ducks, but I'm not a great, the answer is no. Turkeys, yes. I feel like turkeys I got a great owl call just with my mouth. That's kind of my claim to fame. So.
Nice. Yeah, I always tell people I'm not gonna tell you I'm the greatest turkey hunter ever, but I am great at hunting my farm.
Yeah.
3 things you always have with you on tour, close by you on stage.
Ray-Bans, dude wipes, and a Four Roses whiskey.
Oh yeah.
I got a new whiskey out, by the way. Shout out to 3 Chord Bourbon. It's just the Drake White Backstage Pass with 3 Chord. They went in and we mixed it up. It was a really cool experience. But you can go on my website and get any Drake White bourbon, and it's really good. I had a good time mixing all that together in this special batch. So we did about 3,500 bottles, so it's really cool.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that. I was when I was poking around yesterday.
Yeah, I'll send y'all some.
That'll work. That'll work.
Appreciate it. Or better yet, you just come hunting with us one time and you can bring it on up.
Yeah, that'll work.
Well, that's about all I got, boys, unless you guys got something.
It was great talking to you. And I really appreciate you coming on, man.
Oh, well, just in case people don't know, what's your social media handles?
So you can Drake White at Facebook, Drake White Stomp at Instagram, and yeah, just all over streaming. Right now, I got a new record out called Low Country High Road that we released back in September, and we're about to announce our new spring tour, and so we'll be out rocking in March and April. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate it, y'all. Have a good evening.
Thanks, you
All
too,
right,
bud.
you too.
See ya.
See you, boys.